Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Senate set to vote on states of emergency extension. Police officers upset with Federation over delay in signing wage agreement. And later in sports, host nation Qatar on the brink of World Cup elimination. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pula and here are the details. Political maturity, that's what some sectors say they're calling for as the government seeks to have the states of emergency extended until January 14 next year. The efforts to extend is now before the Senate. But the opposition, some attorneys and human rights organizations are still questioning the constitutionality of the security measure. O'Shane Masters reports.
The constitutionality of the state of emergency continues to be a burning topic. Even more now with the recent imposition of the security measure across 7 parishes and the push to have it extended by a further 46 days. There have been increased calls from various sectors of society, including private sector groups, for support of the extension. But with fight back from some attorneys and human rights groups, it's left to see what will come of the measure when it goes before the Senate. But President of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Robin Russell, contends that the measure must continue.
If we are to achieve peace and safe and security in our country, we have to have political census. There has to be pain. There was pain when we went through a restructuring of our finances. And I think it's the same mindset that we need to have. I think we need consensus. I think we need to realize that when we kill over 1,000 people a year in our country and it's consistent and we're not fighting a war, we're in a crisis. And in crisis calls for desperate measures.
This is why we call for the maturity, the political maturity, to put the cards on the table and say, this is what we have done to address that matter. Are you okay or are you not? And you have the discussion around it so that we can go forward.
Chairman of the PSOJ's Standing Committee on Crime and Justice, Lieutenant Commander George Overton, says while he understands the concerns of the rights of citizens and the Constitution, the high homicide rate in the island cannot be left alone.
It can't be that we're going to go on down the road and we're talking about everybody else's rights whilst the country is losing its people wantonly. Something has to be done, and I do agree, and the fundamental rights within the Charter must be preserved as primary. But we also we may be preserving something that at the end of the day we have nothing else for it. We may not have a country, we may not have people.
But with the courts ruling that aspects of the SOE are unconstitutional, both men who are on the morning agenda on Power 106 were asked if the government should continue breaking the law with the imposition of a security measure to control the crime wave.
I am not a lawyer. I can't speak to the law and the legality of it. And I would hope that my Commissioner of Police and my Chief of Defense Staff have not asked of us to break the law when they recommend that these measures be put in place. And that is something that, we have to take into consideration. That these are the measures that the people who have given the responsibility for our safety have asked for.
Now it's left to see if any member of the opposition will break rank in supporting the extension of SOEs, which were imposed in Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, when the matter goes for a vote in the Senate today. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Members of the Police Federation say they're fed up with the slow pace at which the Federation is moving to sign off on the latest wage agreement with the government. They're also calling for the Federation's chair to resign. Police officers who spoke with TVJ News team did not want their identities known. However, they're not happy with the length of time it is taking for the Police Federation to close off on a wage agreement with the government.
It's full time now. The chairman and the federated body sign off on the money. Just sign off and we could get the money for December 2022. Simple.
While it may be argued that the men are rushing into an agreement, they explain that is not the case.
I agree with the member that spoke. And the consensus is that the Federation and the chairman should sign off The government cannot squeeze a bottle that has nothing in it. That bottle will break. So we are simply saying that the government has nothing more to offer. The rank and file members have children, they have loved ones, they have fathers, mothers who are sick and need this.
Additionally, they say some officers continue to work under severe pressure.
For example, if you're going to office to work from 8 to 10, from 8 to 6, you might find yourself end up working from 8 to 10. We have to do extra hours. As a detective, you cannot just leave the workplace without certain things being happened. And if he's investigating a case, you have to carry the case to a point where somebody else can follow.
When TVJ News contacted chairman of the Federation, Corporal Rowan James, he said they're reviewing the figures from the Ministry of Finance and will issue a fulsome report in due time. Concerns this afternoon about the impact of domestic disputes on children. Parents are being urged to seek counseling at one of the domestic violence dispute centers. More in this report.
According to data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, interpersonal conflicts account for 16% of the country's murders. There's no information on what percentage of that figure is linked to domestic abuse, but it's a major concern. So too, the impact of these conflicts on children. Sub-officer in charge of the Milk River Police in Clarendon, Inspector Dorothy Thompson, issued a charge to parents.
It is one of the key areas that is affecting our children. Yes, we protect our children, but you know what? Sometimes we fail. Because when mommy and daddy fights in the house, then the children goes haywire. When mommy and daddy fights, it is the children who suffers. So if we are going to protect our children, we have to ensure that we manage our domestic issues in such a way that the children are protected at all costs.
The police, through its domestic violence intervention program, have set up a number of centers to assist persons in resolving their conflicts, but people remain reluctant.
Even if you are in your room and you have a fight, when you come out, the children feel the energy, them feel the vibration, them know say mommy and daddy are at odds. And sometimes they believe that they are the ones who are at fault and they are the ones why mommy and daddy are not getting it right.
Inspector Thompson was speaking at an appreciation ceremony and parenting symposium at the Milk River Primary and Infant School on Thursday. The school had been struggling with overcrowding and maintaining the COVID protocols. They received a grant from the American Friends of Jamaica Foundation. Gloria Grant is the principal of the institution.
So it has been a tremendous help. The desk and chairs, that has been something that is going to last us for a lifetime, because children are able to be seated in a comfortable situation now. When they were under the tarpaulin, it was most uncomfortable.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The police on Thursday seized 3 firearms and more than 120 rounds of ammunition from the hideout of Jamaica's most wanted man, Nestor Morrison, also known as Bigger Crime. Several items including cellular phones, counterfeit U.S. currency, bank cards and food items were also seized during a raid in 11 Miles Bull Bay, St. Thomas. The operation was carried out by members of the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force. It's reported that about 5:30 p.m. the team went to an area of Bull Bay known as the Lane Gate, where a group of men were seen in bushes acting suspiciously.
A quick search at the location revealed that apparently he had just left that location, leaving behind 3 firearms, including 2 high-powered rifles, that's 2 M16 rifles, and handgun rather. Now, having done additional searches, we found military paraphernalia, we found food items, we found clothing, mattress, cellular phones, and a number of bank cards and counterfeit cash that were found at the location of this hideout. Unfortunately, the suspect was not seen when we went into the location, but we continue to search for him.
Morrison is wanted for double murder, shooting and arson. The police are encouraging Morrison to surrender. After a 2-year break due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Bridgeport High School has resumed their face-to-face career fair with praises from the students. The first deputy head boy for the institution, Sadiq Van Riel, say the initiative may be instrumental in reducing crime among young people as it exposes them to a wide range of opportunities and influences more positive outcomes.
Going into crime is because they're not really seeing positive role models, because they grew up in inner city communities where they're seeing people who have never worked a day in their lives simply come up and they're able to buy different things that them parents can't buy. So it has to do with this giving them an opportunity as well as creating proper positive role models that they can aspire to be, that they can say, all right, I want to be a teacher because I realize that I can impact the young generation.
And head girl Dejanay Martel mentions that while traditional institutions are expensive, this career fair showcases institutions that are more cost-effective and offer skills training to students who are interested.
They aren't properly, I don't believe they are properly educated about the skill areas, schools they can go to, because most of the colleges, the traditional colleges, are expensive. So some of them can go to Hart College.
The school's guidance counselor, Renee Mayer, is also pleased with the initiative as it helps students who are seeking to matriculate into the working world.
We have to help the students to decide what career path they would like to take, and we know that over the years people will change their careers more than once, but if we can give them something to assist them to get some clarity into some of the career areas that they would like to go in, it will surely help them to make better choices when they are at that place to make decision. And not only that,
it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
Another amendment to the Highway 2000 concession agreement is being considered. This amid plans to divest the current portion of the toll road known as Phase IC to Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited (TJH). Under the current Highway 2000 concession agreement, Trans-Jamaican operates 50 kilometers of toll roads, the east-west T1 and T2 corridors, both of which were built at a combined cost of $387 million. In business overseas, Twitter will roll out verified gold and gray check marks as it relaunches the coveted blue check mark service next Friday. Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk said in a tweet, gold check for companies, gray check for governments, blue for individuals, celebrities or not. All verified accounts will be manually authenticated before the check is activated. And in the business review this Sunday, we look at a theater company that's making strides to use its productions to not only entertain, but also to educate. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
The Business Minute.
And it's now time for the top regional and international stories. Once again, here's Cody Ann Barrett.
In the region, Guyana's health authorities are urging people to get vaccinated as their country is now facing an increase in COVID-19 cases. According to Guyana's health minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, the country recorded 107 COVID-19 cases and 3 deaths since the start of November. This, he says, is an uptick in terms of COVID cases and people requiring hospitalization. Dr. Anthony is encouraging people to immunize themselves by taking a booster shot every 4 to 6 months, especially those who have underlying health conditions and maybe on the international scene, thousands of warehouse workers at e-commerce giant Amazon are upset over their pay and working conditions. The workers are planning to walk out and demonstrate in roughly 40 countries. Other countries with workers who are planning to take part in the strike includes the US, India, Japan, Australia, and South Africa. Environmental and civil society groups are assisting an international coalition of trade unions that are coordinating the effort. Now, those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports with Jermaine Brown.